One of the big mistakes that I see a lot of parents make, especially in writing, which becomes really problematic, is that they have expectations about the progress that their child should be making that are not going to be seen as reasonable expectations given a number of factors. Do you see this a lot, Julie?
Yes, and the biggest offender is when parents say, I want the best program for my child, and it's that 4-letter word, B-E-S-T. Do not say it. Why is that, Jen?
Well, lose the word if you can from your vocabulary when it comes to negotiating with your school district, and this is why. The case law that interprets the federal special education law says that parents are entitled to a Chevy, not a Cadillac, okay? You're entitled to an appropriate program, not the best program. Not the best program that money can buy, not even the best program that public money can buy, but an appropriate program that meets the unique needs of the child. Now, I always say the Chevy has to have an engine, so we are not advocating that you should lower your expectations about your child's progress. But if you start putting things in writing about how you want your child's potential to be maximized and you want the best program for him or her, you're just going to give them ammunition that they didn't have before.
Yeah, and while I'm not a big lover of the car analogy, it is a very effective way of making the point.
It is. And it's just one of those things that parents naturally say, of course I want what's best. Why aren't you doing what's best for my child? And they're not required to do what's best. And so the school districts will often really be in a position where they can say, this parent is really just looking for the best possible program, not an appropriate program. And if you've given that to them in writing, then you've kind of tanked your case in some situations. School districts will often put parents in a position where when they're asking for their child to be making more progress or to be more in line with their non-disabled peers in terms of progress, the school district will often say, and it's unfortunate, but I hear it all the time, well, we're not going to cure the disability, which is rarely what my clients are actually looking for. But if you give them terminology that makes it look like that's actually what you're expecting, you're just playing into that argument. So avoid those kinds of things that make it sound like you're expecting there to be a cure. Make sure you have data and evaluations from people that are trustworthy that can tell you and the team what is reasonable to expect by way of meaningful progress for this child.
So as an example, you want to avoid spending a whole lot of time comparing your child to another child.
Right. I mean, depending on the disability, you really need to look at what's reasonable based on this child's disability, this child's unique needs. Right. And ultimately what it comes down to is if you are finding yourself in a situation where the school district is saying to you, well, we're not here to cure the disability, which most of my clients bristles when they say that, the response should be something to the effect of, I'm not asking you to do that, but I would have hoped that after all of these years of intervention, we might be a little bit closer.